Hey everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, I just got done with Stargirl Season 3, Episode 1, called The Murder. Guys, just to start off this spoiler review, I just want to say how happy I am that Stargirl is back. As you guys know, I love this show. And also, as you guys can see, Annie's not with me. I found out just today, Annie's not quite sure if she wants to be back for this season or not. Either way, that's not going to take away for how fun these videos are. I'm still glad to be here, of course. I just want to start by saying, what a freaking phenomenal episode. Great way to kick off the season. I can already tell what Breck was talking about when she said this is going to be a murder mystery this season. I'm absolutely loving it. I love how when we first open the sequence of the show, it is all eerie and it says Chapter 1, The Murder. And then we get to this song playing and it's showing us around Blue Valley and catching us right back up with Blue Valley after, summer's over at this point and the school year is about to start, the new school year. And I just love how it's kind of I was afraid. I told my sister, please, dear God, I don't want to hear anybody start singing, because as anybody knows, if you guys have been here or part of this channel before, everybody knows I hate musicals on the CW. I hate that. I especially hate when superhero shows do musicals. I hate it. So I was so afraid that someone was going to start singing, and I was about to say, oh, hell no. Please let Stargirl not become one like The Flash, an episode of The Flash where they do the singing thing or anything like that. I was like, please, dear God, no. It turns out that's not what happened. I was like, okay, thank God. And we run into Jakeem, and Jakeem is literally throwing out papers, and he throws out the paper to, of course, Shade. And I loved it because, I love how the pink pen's like, oh my God, that dude is a weirdo or a creep. I was just like, it was so funny because Jakeem was like, oh, please don't hurt me, knowing that, of course, he was a bad guy, but of course he did help out. But of course, once you have a bad guy, you can't help to not be afraid of someone that was a bad guy trying to reform to become a good guy. So I just love that we run into Jakeem. He's a paper boy, kind of like how Mike is. I'm wondering if Mike and him, or if Mike is still going to be a paper boy this season, and maybe if they're still going to start that group that Mike said to Jakeem, let's start our own group. I'm still wondering if that's going to happen or not, but I'm very curious to know if it will. But we get back, of course, to Courtney gets back home with, of course, the family, with, Barb, and, of course, Pat and Mike. They all come back home, and, of course, the dog, which I can't remember on the top of my head what the dog's name is, but they're all back. Of course, Sylvester has made the basement his home, but I love when, he says, oh, welcome back, Star Family, but before we get to that, we see newspapers laid out all over the counter, and it makes me wonder, are those newspapers from his past, victories? Or is that, stuff that Courtney's been doing on vacation? I'm not quite sure. I was wondering that. But he was, fixing up the house. He made the basement very homey. Got rid of all the spider webs. And it's kind of weird because, when he walked in, Courtney was instantly like, oh, my God. You know what I mean? It's almost like she was kind of thinking he would have been gone by now or whatever. And she was probably she realized, she probably forgot over the summertime, I'm with the staff. We just won against the big bad Eclipso. What could go wrong? Until she comes back home to Starman and finds out, oh my God, I forget, what does this mean for the staff? Because as we all know, at the end of season 2, Sylvester said, the staff chose her and he wasn't coming back to take the staff. And he said, the staff is yours. But it's kind of like after she's done with summer and back from vacation and sees that Starman has kind of made the basement his home, and kind of has, a big trophy case for Cosmo. It's kind of like she, right away when she saw the trophy case, she's like, oh my God, right next to your bed, meaning, is this meaning that you want to take back the staff? It's like she just instantly thought right back to, oh my God, I'm done with vacation, and he's still here, and he's making this his home, and he has a trophy case right next to his bed for Cosmo. Does this mean that he wants the staff back? And it's kind of like the tone of the entire show, is that she's kind of like, oh my God, she's kind of on edge of thinking, oh my God, is he going to take the staff back? And he even said, oh, is the trophy case, too overboard? And he's like, I don't know really what to do to please, a living, staff. I don't know what to do. That's why I thought about this case. But that's not why she was like, oh, there's staff right next to your bed. It's the fact of, oh, does it mean you're going to take the staff and you think the staff is yours? That's why there's a trophy case right next to your bed. And, I love when, we go back to school. We run in, of course, to, Rick and Yolanda. And mind you, we see them earlier in the episode, Rick, Yolanda, and Beth. Beth's waking up. Her mom and dad, of course, are back together, finding out on the news that she is a superhero, so that brought them back together. They're not getting their divorce. They're really, all over her. They're really giving her attention now, finding out that she is a superhero. And it's kind of like she regrets almost that they aren't. I think she honestly regrets. I wish they did get a divorce because they're so like always on me, and I kind of wish that how maybe she's probably wishing like, oh, I kind of wish how it was when they weren't paying this much attention to me, because it's like they're always on her. But we do see Rick, and he's trying to bury Grundy, and I even told my sister from what it looks like he still can't find the place that when Shade said, oh, if you don't worry, don't worry, just thinking he's dead, if you bury him in a certain place, he tends to come back. It seems to be Rick can't find that place that Shade said that that if he buries him in the right place, yeah, Grundy will come back. And you can tell that Rick is annoyed. He's annoyed at the fact of, oh my god, I kind of made a friend and I can't bring him back to life. And you can tell it's kind of getting to him. Along with Yolanda, she is so not happy that Cindy is kind of like trying to reform. She hates that. She hates that so much that Cindy asked, Yolanda, oh, I want to be a part of the JSA. She hates that. So right away, she's like, oh my god. And it looks like it's I wouldn't say continuing right after, even though they were kind of wearing the same outfit at the end of the thing. That's what it looked like. But it's like you could tell that she's annoyed, and you could tell that it's not like good enough that Cindy tried. She was walking past an old lady, which we saw in the trailer, and she ends up grabbing the old lady's groceries and saying, "Oh, can I help you?" There's like Cindy is trying. The Crocs are trying. You know what I mean? They're saying hi. To of course to Pat and all of them. Like they're being nice neighbors. It's very interesting to see them as neighbors now. But it's very interesting to me. At the moment I really loved about this episode is that the moment where Paula, which I think is Tigress's actual name, goes to, of course, Barb, and pretty much, goes to say, I'm here to, on the behalf of my daughter, and my daughter wants to be a part of the Justice Society of America, and whatever my daughter wants, I want for her. And of course, Barb's like, I don't get to decide who gets to be in the JSA. And she's like, oh, well, if my daughter needs to, prove that, prove to everybody, that she's able to do it, she will, and she ends up, later down the line in the episode, she ends up beating up the Gamblers' goons to pretty much as a tryout, which I freaking loved, because going back to earlier in the episode when we do get to the school, Cindy tries sitting at the table with Beth, Rick, Courtney, and Yolanda, and that was super funny because everybody was up for it. Courtney and Beth were okay with it, saying, okay, we're going to give, Cindy a chance. Rick and, of course, Yolanda were not okay with it. They're the ones that are mainly going against the fact of having Cindy there. I'm not quite sure why Rick is, but I'm quite sure on why Yolanda is, because everything that happened with, of course, her leaking out that photo of Yolanda. So it makes sense that Yolanda, of course, had, and also making Yolanda's life a living hell, and having people, having her get bullied and stuff, and her being a bully and things like that. So it makes sense on why she's so hesitant on having Cindy be a part of the JSA, even though she helped out big against Eclipso last season. So it's going to be very interesting to see how like Yolanda and Rick kind of warm up to the fact of having Cindy a part of the team. But it was very interesting when Artemis came slamming on the table, which scared the crap out of me, when she said, let's go, and she's like, oh, teamwork, or let's go team, or whatever. And then I love how, like, I think it was Rick and Yolanda, when they met, like, what does she mean by that? I think it was Yolanda that said that. And of course, Courtney's just like smiling, like, I don't know if Courtney thinks, oh, eventually we're gonna give Artemis a chance too. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe the team thought, oh, we just have Cindy sitting at the table, but at the moment when, and they probably think, okay, that's going to be it. Until the moment, of course, Artemis says, let's go team, and then Yolanda and Rick are like, oh shit, it's not just going to be Cindy. She's going to want to bring in the whole freaking Injustice Society to be a part of the JSA. And they're just not okay with it. Or the fact that they now know them as just villains. They don't see them anything else as not just villains. They don't see them as like potential candidates to be heroes. They only see them as villains. Mind you, it makes sense because, once Courtney recruited them, she recruited them to take out these villains. And they kind of have that mentality, and they don't see what Courtney sees, even though they did help out a lot. And I do love how Courtney, that's the essence of a true hero, that Courtney sees behind the curtain, sees that there's good within them, and she sees it. And last season proved that a lot. So I'm excited to see where that's going to go in this season. And on top of having Sylvester back, it's kind of like, I love how everybody at the table, the one thing they could agree on was like, oh, now that Sylvester's back, what does that mean for the staff? So it's kind of like everybody's wondering, okay, like, who's going to be the captain? Who's going to be the leader? Does Sylvester being back, does it mean that he's going to take back the staff and he's now our leader? What's going on here? I love that. And it's kind of like what Courtney didn't want to, like, she didn't want that topic coming up because she's trying to, like, escape that topic, and she's trying to just fully focus on trying to get the team to work, like both sides to work together. You know what I mean? That's what she's mainly focused on. She probably thinks I'll put that on the back burner, and that's not important. I don't want to talk about it right now. But that's the harsh reality of she needs to come to terms with the fact that she needs to come, she has to come forward with the fact of, what does this mean? I need to face this fear on it. Is the staff still mine, or is it his now? And we see that throughout the entire episode. And what I really do like also is that when the gambler comes back to Blue Valley, he goes to, Courtney, and he goes to Pat saying, like, look, I'm back here because, I'm trying to, do what my other colleagues did. I'm trying to reform. I wanted to have you guys help to try to find my daughter. And they're like, they're kind of like not buying that he would just come here. And they're like, well, and he's like, why not? You accepted everybody else's, everybody else's apology and them kind of reforming, and they're like, yeah, Pat and Courtney are like, yeah, because while you were on the run, they actually helped defeat Eclipso. You didn't. So it's like, what gives us the right to trust you? Which, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, everybody else helped. I mean, hell, the Crocs broke out of prison to help Courtney take and Pat and all of them take out Eclipso. So it's kind of like they have an excuse. But of course, they kind of like believe him when, he does get a heart-to-heart saying, I'm here to try to find my daughter. And I mean, I'm the reason I think I'm messed up is because my father left me, and you know what I mean? And I never knew my father, and I don't want that for my daughter. I actually want to try to, tell my daughter I love her. You know what I mean? I want to try to make amends. I know she might not accept it and want me in her life right away, but I want her to know that she has that option. I really felt for the gambler in that moment. I actually almost came to tears on that moment. I was like, I actually feel for him right now. And I love that. I love how we're really seeing these different sides from these so-called villains. We're seeing that, this is what they probably wish the JSA would have saw in them. The original JSA is that they can change. And they're kind of like, they're kind of almost like defending, Courtney to the fact of that Shade scared the gambler away when Gambler said, okay, I need your help, to help find my daughter. And the gambler, and Shade was not buying it. Shade's like, I need you to get out of here. I don't trust you. And I mean, you better get out of here before Courtney Whitmore and her family and her crew end up, taking you out. Meaning the fact that, like, these villains are kind of like defending Courtney, and it's kind of like backing her up. And that's kind of like what Courtney was saying to Pat earlier in the episode, saying, like, together, we're unstoppable. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the trailer theme, is unstoppable. So it's kind of like all of them together, she kind of realized when they took out Eclipso, they can do anything. And that's true. It's like they're all backing Courtney up because Courtney sees what other people don't see within them. So it's like they have her back. And I love that. But the thing that's dangerous is that Sylvester doesn't see this doesn't see the goodness within them as much as Courtney does. And that's very interesting because through this episode, even when Pat and frickin' Sylvester get caught on their way back from them flying around because he wanted to race Stripe, and Sylvester's at this point really impressed on the fact that Pat made this big robot, and he said, dude, this is so impressive. Like, this is nothing to, like, just, like, blow off. Like, this is really impressive. If the JSA were here to see you now, man, they would beg for you to sit at the table. And it's kind of like he's hyping up Pat just so he has an excuse so he could use Cosmo and fly around. And it's at the point when he walks in with the staff, and of course we have Mike, we have Barb, and we have Courtney kind of all saying, like, where have you been? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you guys were out late. Where have you been? Dinner's not even made, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like their children sneaking out. I loved that. I thought that was very funny. And they were the adults. And the way, like, Courtney was talking to, like, and, like, Courtney was talking to, and also Barb saying you took the staff. And the way in Courtney's face is just she's upset at the fact that Sylvester said that it was her staff, and he took it. And, of course, he's like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any problems. That's not the reason why I'm here. If anything, I want to help. And, you know what I mean? It's just, we were just living, like, kind of like, reliving our good old years and stuff like that. They were just having a moment. And that's what I was really looking forward to, is that the fact of they both have changed. But it's like, it's nice to relive those moments and to catch up. And it's kind of like, at this point of, Sylvester not having his sister anymore, which we found out in this episode, him not, even though his parents weren't the best, they ended up dying, and him not having his parents anymore. And of course, the JSA being killed by the Injustice Society, it's like the only family he has left is Pat. So he's kind of having a family moment, like a kind of like, a hero and sidekick moment. But it was really sad when he walked down to the basement, and of course Courtney goes down there, and Courtney's like, I could tell that you actually want the staff. And he's like, oh, is it that obvious? And then she kind of comes with the term saying, oh, how about we make a deal? You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know who you are without Starman, but how about, we make a deal where it's like, I'm in school, you have the staff, and when I'm not in school, I get the staff. And we both can be, Starman and Stargirl. Starman is back, and I loved that moment. It was just so nice, but you could tell Sylvester's like, I don't know how that's going to work. And I think that's going to make issues, because clearly, when we get to the end of this episode, we get to the point of that, well, Pat and Sylvester are sitting on the steps, and Pat gives him a cold beer. He's at the point of saying, like, oh, it's different. You let the crooks, move in, or the Crocs move in next door. You know what I mean? You have all these villains wanting to join the JSA. And of course, Pat's like, well, look, Courtney sees, good within them, and her heart hasn't steered us wrong yet. And he's like, I don't think it. He's like, I'm not questioning, how she thinks everybody deserves the second chance, or she sees good within them. And he's like, oh, to second chances or whatever, or to being good or whatever, which makes me think in the promotion for next episode 2, he ends up fighting Shade, and he's like, and I think Shade said, oh, you shouldn't have come back or whatever, or oh, I wish you stayed gone or something like that. But it's like, he does not see what Courtney sees. He is angry at the fact. I think he's really going to come out saying, because we know in the trailer he says, you let the villains that murdered our friends live next door. And I do think that he's going to say, probably even say the Pat or Courtney, it's like how must he feel that he wakes up without the staff? He ends up finding that out that the staff chose somebody else, and somebody else that's worthy, but I bet you he probably doesn't think she's worthy on the fact that she's letting these villains join the JSA, and he finds out the person that does have the staff now, that is worthy, that has the staff now, is letting villains in the JSA, letting villains that live next door, and his best friend, his sidekick, is pretty much allowing this to happen, even though he knew that, even though he knew that those villains killed his family. I mean, that was Pat's family too. But he's like, he's gone past that. He's with Courtney right now, and believing in Courtney and believing in them. It's gonna be interesting to see that dynamic. Like, I bet you he's probably gonna say, Pat, what side are you gonna choose? Your best friend's side. You know what I mean? Your long lost friend that has now come back, or are you gonna trust your daughter or something? You know what I mean? I feel like there's gonna be a moment like that where it's like, he's gonna say, who do you like? What side are you on? You know what I mean? And I'm excited to see that element going forward. And also, my theory is that, it's called, right when it said chapter 1, the murder, I knew there was a murder going to happen. And I was like, okay, we're focusing way too much on the gambler. No one's trusting the gambler right now. I don't think he's meaning to do anybody harm. I just think he wants to find his daughter. And it turns out to be, that's exactly what he's trying to do. And so we saw these couple of shots throughout the episode where it was like a security cam, kind of like, in static mode, and it was kind of like, we were seeing the perspective of a camera looking at people in their house and checking people out, and I don't know, I was like, maybe it is the gambler, he has technology, could it be? But I don't think it is. It looks like somebody else was also spying on the gambler, from what it looked like. I'm not quite sure, so it makes me wonder who's the one that killed Gambler, because when, we get to the point where, once Artemis took out all those bad guys, at this point, and the bad guys were the gambler's minions, of course Rick and Yolanda were so, easy to jump to the conclusion of, oh, Gambler, those are Gambler's goons, and I highly doubt they do anything without him. So they were like, let's just take out the Gambler, let's go get him. But by the time they get there, we get this cool shot before they get there, the Gambler ends up getting his gun out of the trash can, ends up walking outside, and we see on the camera that's on his computer of the perspective of outside, him finding out that there is a camera outside and someone's been spying on him. When he tries reaching for the cam, instantly we hear an animal noise and it cuts. And it makes me wonder, and I thought earlier, because we saw a car earlier in the episode drop somebody off. And I don't know because we know the villain of the season is Mr. Bones. And it makes me wonder is Mr. Bones the one that's killing these people? Is he going to be the murderer of the season? I don't know. My theory is, and this is a long shot theory that's probably not even going to be true, but I'm thinking, did Pat turn his back, and is there a chance that maybe, Sylvester killed the Gambler? Because it looked like he tried killing Shade in the next episode. You know what I mean? He hit him hard with that blast, and that light can kill the darkness of the Shade. So it makes me wonder: is that what's going to happen? Maybe him coming back to life. Maybe he's fully not there. Is that a possibility? Because we've all been questioning: is this actually Sylvester? Or is this someone trying to pretend to be Sylvester? Or maybe by the way he was acting in this episode, him coming back to life. Maybe is he fully not there when he came back to life? I don't know. Again, that's a long shot theory, probably not true. It could most likely be Mr. Bones. But when they did show up to take out the gambler, and his trailer was totally destroyed. It looked like a crushed tin can. It looked destroyed. And the person that was at the scene of the crime was Cindy. And Cindy said when they were looking at research on who the gamblers' goons were working with, and everybody else was coming up with the conclusion, oh, it must be the gambler, let's go take him out. Cindy's like, oh, call me when things get interesting. And she kind of just walked out, and then she was at the scene of the crime picking up the gambler's gun. She said, it's not, I didn't do this. And it's kind of like, I said to myself, I told Bethany, I was like, she didn't do it. It's not what it looks like. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a second. It's not what it looks like. I just got here. You know what I mean? But it's a question of, I think Yolanda and I think Rick are going to believe that she's the one that did it. Because they're so against her, so against thinking that has any capability of being good. I think Courtney will realize, I know it's not you. I know you didn't do this. But of course, they're going to go against that. And that's going to cause a rift within the team. Is that she believes... she believes Cindy instead of believing Rick and, of course, Yolanda. I feel like maybe Beth will go against Courtney, too, and says, I believe Rick and Yolanda on this one. I do think it was Cindy. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this season goes. There's just so much going for it, and I freaking love it. But I'm curious to know down in the comments below, what did you guys think about this, the first episode of Season 3 of Stargirl? Did you guys like it? Did you guys not like it? Let me know your thoughts, your theories down in the comments below. Yet again, guys, if you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put notifications, like this video. I would love to have you guys here, a part of the fam, a part of the channel. We're all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. And yet again, guys, we are almost to 600 subscribers. Right now, we're at 558, almost to 600. We're making moves, we're making strides. Tomorrow, I'm also going to see the Spider-Man No Way Home more fun stuff version. I'm going to see that tomorrow, and I'm probably going to do like another, like I'm going to give a review on all the new stuff that they put in the movie. I'm going to give another review for that movie, even though my Spider-Man No Way Home review has been up here on the channel already. I'm going to give like a new updated review on the new stuff that they're going to be putting in the movie. That's tomorrow /vlog. I might vlog it also tomorrow. But guys, if you guys didn't know this yet, by you being here on the channel before you guys were just coming across this video, checking out my spoiler review again for the first episode of Season 3, I'm going to say this again, I am doing streams every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, kind of like as like a pre-show to get ready for every new episode of Stargirl. So it gives us a chance, and it gives me a chance to talk to you guys and want to hear your thoughts, your theories, and what you guys are most excited for each episode as we go in the new season. I'm probably thinking about also incrementing this into All-American and All-American Homecoming. I'm not quite sure. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys want that. Because as we all know, I didn't fully look at the trailer, but I saw that All American comes back on the 10th of October, and I'm super excited for that. I was there for season 2 and 3. I think we're on 4 right now of All American. I'm not quite sure, but I have an All American playlist up. You guys can see how many seasons I did do for All American. I did one for the last season we just had in the season prior. I don't think I did one for the season before that. I think I just did one for 3 and 4. I think we're on season 5 as we speak this new season. But also my All-American Homecoming, I have a playlist for that, and I'm excited for that, All-American Homecoming, when that comes back. We just got our first trailer for that. I will be doing a trailer reaction for All-American and All-American Homecoming a little bit later, probably tonight. I'll post them probably tomorrow. But yet again, guys, I just wanted to let you guys know that we will to look forward to live streams every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to get ready for a new episode of Stargirl, along with the spoiler reviews that will drop the next day prior. But yet again, guys, that was the video. I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.